The moment our fellow geeks, dweebs, nerds, and other unfortunates have been fervently waiting for has finally arrived. It's time for TMI, Confessionals of the Nerd Kind. And now, your hosts, Jeff Nerfherder Chandler, Jim Kaiju Baker, and Christina Yojimbo Henry. You can continue. And now, let's get on with the show. Here is TMI.
Do it.
We're here, everybody.
Yeah, we already had a 20-minute conversation.
Jeff and myself, Jim, are here this week. But second week in a row, Christina is absent.
No, sorely missed.
But she will be back next week. How could she not? For John Wick 4.
Of course.
But we're putting the cart before the proverbial horse here. We are talking this week.
Unicorn?
Or unicorn.
Or
we
unicorn.
are talking this week. And, you know, most people are not going to know what we're talking about because I don't think a lot of people saw this movie.
It's out there. People are seeing it.
Shazam. Maybe part of the reason is they didn't call it Shazam 2.
I don't know. Fury of the Gods. Is that enough to get?
I like numerals. I'm not above numerals.
Listen, if I can just throw a 2 after there and not have to say Fury of the Gods, then that's what I'm doing. But I'm getting a lot of people are asking me about it. I'm seeing on social media that people, my internet friends, quote unquote, are seeing this, curious if I had seen it and my thoughts. So somebody's going to the theater.
We did.
Not my theater. There was nobody else.
There was people in my theater on a Saturday matinee.
Oh, I went during the week, though. I had an opportunity to go.
To be fair, not a lot of people would be going to anything in the middle of the week. So you're going to get lower crowds, whatever. So if you got a movie that's performing softly, to be kind, it's going to be even softer during the week.
Yes, correct.
And along with Shazam, we are covering a classic.
It's such a joy to go back and rewatch this.
It's big.
Yeah, again.
It's big news. It's big for us.
Big. Do you think they had to come up with like a different name? Like big. What does that say?
This is one of those movies where we've stayed away from it because it's like, it's too obvious. We want to go for like the darker corners of cinema history. But sometimes it just, these pairings just beg to be made.
Yes. Yeah.
Without much thought behind it. So
no. And even watching them kind of back to back, it was like, all right, this is perfect pairing. And this is probably a movie I've seen 400 times.
Really? I haven't seen it that much.
It's been a while because some of what happens doesn't really fly in this day and age.
No, well, the whole premise doesn't fly in this day and age of the romance angle of it, at least.
Yeah, romance, if you want to call it that.
It's icky if you think about the connotations, but we'll get there.
It's even ickier if you thought what the alternative was. But yeah, you're right. We'll get there. Yeah. So we do need to get through Shazam first. And if you want to indulge me for a minute, we do have a little bit of news.
Okay.
Do we need to address the breaking news of Jonathan Majors being arrested for assault allegations?
I don't think we should go into it that much, but I don't think
there's much to go into because, to be honest with you, I innocent until proven guilty. Please.
But I think it also just proves the point where we should not become smitten by actors, any actors, because invariably you will end up disappointed.
Yes.
Stay at a distance, respectable distance.
I like you. But we're good.
You do a good job.
Period. So the news is out there. We will just keep an eye on it. And if anything comes out of it, we will talk about it. So.
I bet you Marvel is pulling their collars just like Rodney Dangerfield on improv night.
Improv. We can't live in this knee-jerk world. So we're gonna skip over that. I just wanted to bring that up because that just dropped yesterday. That's breaking news. Of course, it's 3 days old now that you're listening to this. We'll get into some other stuff, including this story, which I'm going to refer to as a Greek revival. Going into this Shazam, Fury of the Gods, we do deal with some Greek gods. So I found this interesting, which is the fact that Medusa is getting a modern makeover. Nicole Kassell and Nicole Perlman. Kassell is, I guess she's directed some HBO The Watchmen. Do you ever watch that series?
No, I tried, but I couldn't hang with it.
Yeah, no. And unfortunately, you get invested and then they kill it anyway. So what's the point? Perlman is, I guess she's done a lot of Marvel studio work. Hopefully, if these two women continue to do work together, we can just refer to them as Nicole's, just like Daniels. But anyways, they're working on this action adventure project centered on the Greek Gorgon that we know as Medusa. And it's being developed for Amazon Studios. Right now, I guess plot pretty, the details are kind of hidden, but a fantasy story sees Medusa running afoul of the ancient gods and has to set out on an epic quest to save the world. Is she going to comb her hair with those snakes in it?
She's not a happy camper, Medusa.
No, well, when you're cursed, doesn't make for a good day. So I don't know. I just thought it was interesting that maybe just like, what was it, Universal trying to bring back all these monsters, that maybe we'll start seeing this whole resurgence of Greek gods, and they'll all be hanging out having angst in high school. On following up with that, Nosferatu is also getting a reboot. Do you know about this?
I did read something about this.
Yeah, this is Robert Eggers. Has supposedly been working on this 7 years in the making, and it looks like it's finally getting underway. There's been some controversy. Harry Styles left the project. Anna Taylor-Joy was attached, and then she had to drop out because of her filming schedule. She's out there doing Furiosa, Mad Max Fury Road sequel. And so they brought in Lily Rose Depp. But I guess Bill Skarsgård is going to be our Count Orlok. And Nicholas Hoult, who we will talk about in a couple of weeks with Brentfield. So that just leaves Willem Dafoe, who seems to be working with Eggers every time we turn around now. So will he come on board? I don't know. The original movie. And
the bigger question, will he do his hot dog dance in Nosferatu?
Why wouldn't he? I think it's in his contract at this point. So yeah, what was the original? 1922? It's like 100 years ago.
I watched the original not too long ago, thanks to the Joe Bob Briggs show on Shudder, because he played it. It does. It's very atmospheric.
See, that's right up there with Metropolis, which we have not talked about. But again, that's a movie I adore for what it brought to the table 100 plus years ago. Everything old is new. And finally, I wanted to bring this up. Normally, we do kind of give a shout out to some of our legends who have passed. Do you recognize this name, Raquel Browning?
Creature.
He is the Gill Man from Creature of the Black Lagoon. And yeah, we missed the fact that he was 93 and he has passed away. But I started doing some research. This guy really was all over the place. I mean, he was more than just, a guy in a rubber suit. He was a stuntman for the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea movie. Mm-hmm. He played Jerry Lewis's body double in Don't Give Up the Ship. He played all the bad guys in Sea Hunt. So every week a new bad guy would show up and he would
so they were all aquatic based roles.
I would have to think so. Yeah. I guess he was like, he could hold his breath
because he's in the water.
He would hold his breath for up to 4 minutes. He directed the harpoon fight scene in Thunderball.
Ooh.
And the underwater scene in Never Say Never Again, which is just a remake of Thunderball.
Of Thunderball. Yeah. You know what? Let's get the guy that did Thunderball to do this scene.
Well, it's crazy, right? You have a niche. So he didn't play the creature whenever he was on land. He only played the creature when he was underwater. Ben Chapman actually played the beast whenever he was on land. But the other thing this gentleman directed was the candy bar in the pool scene of Caddyshack.
Really?
I'm like, why? You needed a specialist to come in for that? But he also brought Flipper. He was the originator of Flipper. I guess he, because he's doing underwater stuff, him and his buddies had captured a bunch of dolphins, brought them back to Florida. And then he sees this kid watching Lassie and he's like, oh, if a kid can hang out with a dog, why can't a kid hang out with Flipper?
Hey, we got 4 dolphins in my pool right now.
Yeah.
We don't know what to do with. It would seem like a good idea at the time.
Correct. They can't sign contracts, so let's get them working. So yeah, I guess he was the guy who brought Flipper. He directed a ton of the episodes. And the funny story, which was, I guess, when they were filming Revenge of the Creature, a sea turtle came up and bit off the foot of his costume. And it was the only costume they had left. So they actually had to chase the turtle down and retrieve it.
Whilst it was being worn by Mr. Browning?
Yes. Yeah. He was actually wearing it when the turtle came up and snapped it off.
I mean, he can't see that coming. Turtles don't move that fast.
I can't imagine he's got a lot of peripheral vision in the damn suit.
That's like the last dinosaur sneaking up on you in the, in a tree.
He was a ninja. He was a ninja dinosaur, man. Maybe this was a Ninja Turtle. Oh, we got...
Speaking of Ninja Turtles, are we done with the news yet? Because I saw a trailer for said Turtles before Shazam.
I saw a couple trailers. I didn't see a Ninja
You didn't
Turtle.
see a Ninja Turtles trailer?
I did not see a Ninja Turtle
It is
trailer.
a new animated film, and it looks like it's very much in the style of Into the Spider-Verse. I am not a Ninja Turtles fan by any means, but it piqued my interest.
I think we were aged out just a bit by the time Turtles came in.
Although the origins of the Turtles lead to much more mature fare in your black and white comics of the day.
Oh
right?
yeah, no,
the 1980s.
The original run was they played it serious.
Yeah.
It wasn't until the cartoon where they became goofy and ate pizza.
Yeah, but this is not a serious take. This is, the Turtles that you
Sony?
know and love.
Is it the same animator?
No, it's Nickelodeon. I don't know who the overarching
that would make sense. Who the studio is that actually did the animation.
But the animation is very similar in style to Into the Spider-Verse.
I would have preferred that over my trailer for Barbie.
I didn't see that. I did not see that.
You did not miss anything. I'm like, what is going on? I did see another trailer for, I think it was DreamWorks. Kraken, a girl that turns into a Kraken.
Into the Kraken? Do they say
she is a Kraken? Yeah.
Do they say release the Kraken at any point in the trailer?
I would like to think that at some point in the movie they would say release.
If they don't say it in the trailer, that's a missed opportunity right there.
Well, I think our whole species are Krakens.
But you got to release them. And it doesn't matter how many they are.
It is true. You can't have Krakens and not release them.
Yeah.
But there's a mean cheerleader mermaid that goes after her. And you know what? It reminds me of Turning Red. That's exactly what it
Oh, really? Is this animated? Did you say it was animated?
It is. Yeah.
It is animated. Okay.
And I also saw the trailer for Little Mermaid. Speaking of which.
I got another Flash trailer before my viewing of Shazam.
Yeah. Well, how can you not?
Exactly.
It's like, oh yeah, by the way, enjoy this movie, but none of it counts.
Well, I don't know. I don't know about that. I think that this is a good transition to the James Gunn DC.
Yes. All right. So let's get into it. Let's get into the Shazam Fury of the Gods. Because there's stuff to talk about.
First of all, New Line Cinema. Now, this am I missing this, or is this in front of every DC movie? I don't think it is.
I don't think so either. But I don't remember it in the first one.
I'm thinking to myself, is this some kind of intensely meta joke, the house that Freddy built? Because Freddy is in this movie.
Not the same Freddy, though.
Not the same Freddy, but he is a Freddy.
Although they kept getting his name wrong, so maybe not.
I hope that was an homage to Mike Nesmith, because every Monkeys episode, somebody gets his name wrong.
Screwed his name up.
Hey, Nesbaum.
Nesbaum.
So
Shazam.
The original 2019. So that's a far off 4 years ago.
Yeah.
When you're dealing with a movie with kids, that's dangerous to wait that long. These kids are aging out fast.
Yeah.
Which is a plot point, by the way. So I laud them for that. Yeah. But these kids are aging out. So the novelty of this whole idea is wearing thin already. I think maybe, obviously the pandemic threw a wrench into everything. So this probably would have come out a lot sooner had not been for those circumstances.
Right.
But yeah, I think it's 4 years is a bit too long for a movie like this.
Right. Although I will say all the kids came back and reprised their roles except for one.
Which is interesting.
Yeah, they recast a one character who doesn't change when she takes on her superpowers. She's
the same actress who played the human in the first movie, but not the same actress that played the super version of her in the first movie.
Oh, so they just said, screw it, you're not old enough
to
go
now
to
she is the only one that's playing both in this.
Okay. So we're talking about Grace Caroline Curry playing Mary.
About halfway through the movie, I'm like, is that the same girl, but the rest of them aren't the same? I'm like, well, maybe because she's, like you said, basically an adult now, so she's got nothing to change to.
Right. What is she going to change to? Like an old lady in a wheelchair? But yeah, all the other ones have come back. I don't remember Pedro at all. This character.
I wanted to watch the first one again, but I just didn't have time
because those characters were kind of throwaway in the first ones until the end when he gives them their powers. And I love the fact that they're following up on this, and you see them as a family dynamic right up front with this big action sequence on the bridge, and they're saving everybody, but they're not really doing a good job about it. And it was a nice reintroduction to these characters, I feel.
Yeah, the sequel, in any good sequel, it kind of keeps those audience members in mind that maybe haven't seen the first movie at all. You're fed little details from the first movie, and it helped me. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So I was okay by midpoint of this movie.
Yeah, I don't think I missed a beat in anything.
But even before that, we get an opening sequence at like a mountaintop museum. I don't know where really this museum was.
Are we led to believe that it was in Greece somewhere? But
in like some converted Colosseum that's on a mountain. I don't know.
Yeah.
But the staff, and this is what I needed some help with.
Yeah, I don't remember this.
They do flash back to a little bit later to the end of the first Shazam movie, when Zachary Levi, and we're just going to call him Shazam because that's what his name is by the end of this movie.
But that's a dumb running gag.
Like, what are you going to call me?
They all came up with their own superhero names, which are silly, goofy, kid names. He's like, what's my superhero name? I'm like, just come up with something.
Make up one. Yeah.
It's like, we all know what it is, except for you, apparently.
You do get a little flashback to the end of the first movie where he breaks the staff.
Which is what the bad guy of that movie, Sylvian? It doesn't matter. None of this matters. Even the post-end credit scene doesn't matter. And I think this is part of why people are like, well, screw it. Why am I going to go watch this if none of it matters?
We were talking a little bit before we hit record today about possibly Warner DC shooting themselves in the foot by announcing that they're starting from scratch when they still have 3 or 4 movies to put out.
Yeah. So when Aquaman 2 drops again, why am I going to, I'm not going to go to the theater. I'll just wait until it drops on HBO Max in a week.
Dr. Savannah is his name.
Savannah. That's even more confusing.
Played by Mark Strong.
Yeah.
So you're thinking to yourself, if you're in the know, right? So if you're not one of these people that just shows up with your kid and like, what movie am I going to see today? Oh, this looks good. But if you're in there as a comic book fan following the continuity, exactly. You're going in like, is this even going to matter? Is this like a clearance sale for Warner Brothers? Let's just put them out, see what they do, and be done with it.
Hopefully try to recoup some of our money back.
Yeah. Gunn has been ambiguous about, who he's going to keep, if anybody, from the DCU. But I'm really interested to see what's going to happen because, spoiler alert, we're going to give away secrets to this movie and talk about its end credit scenes. You have 2 characters from Peacemaker, which is on HBO Max, and it's a Gunn-led show. So you would think if anything survives, Peacemaker would survive, yet it is firmly in this DCEU that's going away. So and
they directly make reference to the Justice Society, which was in Black Adam.
Yeah.
Which that's a whole other story we'll get to in the back end. But so regardless, if you're sitting in the theater watching this movie, you just want to be entertained. At the end of the day, I wasn't looking at this going, why does this matter? I was like, just entertain me. You said this to me a couple of weeks ago when we were talking 65. I got superheroes in front of me, kids who turn into adults. Just entertain me. And, I had this argument with somebody. They're like, I didn't like the first one because he was too goofy. And I'm like, but he's a kid. You have to understand that. I mean, he's a kid who now finds himself in an adult body that has superpowers. What's not goofy about that? And again, pairing this up with Big just brings it home. And I'm like, why does every superhero movie have to be so dark and brooding?
Yeah.
Why can't you just have a little fun with it? And I will say Zachary Levi has fun with this.
Although I do get your friend's point where I think, and I noticed this in the first Shazam as well, the kid actor that plays Billy is more mature than Zachary is. So it's not like he's copying his performance. He's just, I think he's going off what he thinks the kid should be rather than what this kid is.
Yeah, which again is interesting when we get into the big talk, how they dealt with that and how Tom Hanks approached that character. But here, I think the kid came in, he did his scenes, he went home.
Yeah.
I don't think they really.
And he's in it. He is in it minimal especially compared to that first Shazam, because that's an origin story. So you got to build up who this kid is. So it's him during most of the opening scenes of that movie. Yeah. And now it's the other way around. He's in it really sparingly.
Yeah, this is almost a Freddy movie.
Yeah,
at the detriment of Shazam. This is very much a Freddy story. You go back to the opening sequence in the museum where the two Greek gods, you got Helen Mirren and you have Lucy Liu showing up, and they're badass. They steal the broken staff.
Because this is the wizard's staff, right, from the first movie, and this is what he was using to give the powers to Shazam. Yeah. And this is the staff of the gods taken from the tree of life or something.
Yeah, let's go with that.
The wizard used it to keep these two characters away, the Helen Mirren and Lucy Liu, from the other dimension. But because the staff was broken, now they're able to enter our dimension.
Is this like when the Phantom Neutral Zone explodes in Superman 2? And
that's a good comparison. Yeah,
we should have seen them escape at the end of the last one. Set them up.
Yeah.
So, because these characters don't exist in the comics at all. These three, the three, what were they called? The three sisters of Ares.
The daughters of Atlas.
Atlas, Ares, yeah. Greek. It's all
Ares good. Was Wonder Woman. This is Atlas.
Yeah, which is another.
We'll get there.
I know. I'm going to be all over the place on this one.
But this is also another curious choice. To not go with established characters, because that's kind of the joy of being a comic book fan, is seeing how your favorite characters are going to be transferred to the big screen,
and then being pissed off because it doesn't match what you want them to be.
So and on one hand, they're avoiding that completely.
Yeah, well, just come up with their own characters.
Yeah. But then again, you're like, oh, the stakes in my mind aren't that great because I don't know who these people are.
Although I thought that they were formidable bad guys.
Yeah, it's Helen Mirren. You can't do a bad job. Lucy and there's a couple of good fight scenes.
Listen, Lucy Liu riding a dragon, you got me. I'm in. So,
although I think as a way to cover, I was reading, there's a lot of scuttlebutt now regarding Shazam out online, especially that now that it's not doing so well at the box office, and people are pointing fingers and trying to give their opinions on why it's not doing well. So one of the questions invariably that comes up is, well, why isn't Black Adam the bad guy?
Correct.
Of this? And
because he is intrinsically tied to Shazam. They literally have the same costume. By the end of this movie, when Shazam's costume is all burnt up, he looks like Black Adam. Depending on who you listen to, that was torpedoed.
Yeah, I think it was the director I was reading a interview with. Well, if we went with Black Adam, we already had a character be the bad guy in the first movie that had Shazam's power set. So this would be kind of repeating that. Like, well, that's what you're doing here, too.
That's exactly what you're just making them women.
Yeah.
And tying them into Greek mythology. Yeah, the idea of the tree.
That's the MacGuffin here, is that they need to find the seed for the tree of life, because Helen Mirren's character wants to get that tree and go back to their own dimension or whatever, the land of the gods, to plant the tree again, the tree of life. Lucy Liu, however, wants to plant it on Earth, cause chaos, and rule the Earth. So Calypso. They're already having a sibling argument between what they should be doing with this seed.
Yeah. So let's bring in the third sister, who's right down the middle. Anthea is her name. I don't know what her Greek counterpart is.
That's where we're missing Christina here on today's episode. But we're just
because Helen Mirren was Hespera, but I don't even know either. So and listen, at one point in my life, I was obsessed with Greek mythology, but outside of Calypso, I don't really recognize any of these names. But so we're introduced to this Anne, who is a young girl in school who befriends Freddy. And then you find out that she's not really, because we just think she's another student. And then you find out that she is the third sister. But it's not until later that these sisters realize that these superheroes are the kids. And it's like, well, if that's the case, why is Anne in school?
And befriending Freddy because she didn't know who he was.
Correct. That made absolutely no sense. I'm like, why is this? I got a couple hours to kill. Let's go to school. Said no kid ever.
And let me tell you, the bullies in this school are unparalleled.
After all this, he's friends with Superman. We saw that in the end of the trailer. And yet Freddy's still getting his ass kicked on a daily basis.
I'll give him one thing, that they're equal opportunists. They don't care that he's walking with a cane. They'll still beat him down and then break his cane.
And so you want to see
it's terrible.
You want to see their comeuppance.
They need to be arrested.
Yes,
that's
in this day and age, you can't have bullies. We talk about how some things in big don't really carry through in this new modern world, but come on, these kids would have been kicked right out.
So let me ask you this. Let's get back to the opening, museum scene where they steal the staff and they get their powers back. And they turn everybody into statues.
Yeah.
Those people are dead, right? It's not like they're coming back magically by the end of the movie.
Because the one security guard she knocked over and he blew up.
And I wasn't quite sure what they were doing. She's whispering in each of their ears and they become black-eyed zombies.
Yeah, she's got the power. Right, and they were just fighting each other.
Right.
I think that she has like the power of suggestion.
Like Scarlet Witch.
Kind of. Yeah, but she also got the Medusa power that can turn them to stone.
This is true. Again, was that Helen Mirren that did that? She blew the dust, or was that Lucy Liu? I don't remember.
I don't remember either. I literally saw this 2 days ago.
So they steal the staff, and that's your opening. So you know who your big bads are. So then we go to the bridge scene, which was very reminiscent, like of a Christopher Reeve type Superman situation. So I really enjoyed that sequence.
Well,
as you
even the original Fantastic Four that came out. They have this big sequence on a bridge, saving the kids in the bus and the whole bit.
And you get a little bit of that family dynamic as to how they work together. And, the one nurse who's in her car listening to Bonnie Tyler, I Need a Hero.
Yeah.
That's the director's wife.
Oh, get out of here.
It is. Get out of here. You're playing this song when I save you.
No, it was a fun sequence.
Yeah.
But leading into this where he's in the psychiatrist or he's in a pediatrician's office.
Yeah. I think it was right before. That's where you first see him.
Right. And that I really like because, again, here's a kid going, I've got these powers. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I don't know who I am. They do bring home the fact that Billy's been in and out of these foster care homes. He's about to age out. He really kind of sees these kids as his family, but this family, the mom and dad are a little loosey goosey, and they got 18 kids in there. I don't know. They can't afford to pay for yet another mouth, and he's going to be on his own, and so there's a lot of angst going on this. And I thought that was a lot of fun seeing that character kind of question who and what he is and why he was given this power.
Right. And you're introduced to their lair as well, right at the beginning,
which is a lot
movie.
of fun.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what a kid would do.
This is what I kind of had to make myself remember as I was watching this. Like the wizard's portal that has a number of doors that you can go through to get to the wizard's realm, right where Billy was given his power, and that's where this family, the siblings, hang out. And one of them
walk through a wardrobe,
and it's like Monsters Inc. There's doors everywhere.
Boo.
So one of them takes it upon himself to map out the layer as to give an idea of, where these doors lead to. And that's a fun little subplot.
Yeah. They try to kind of give these kids some personalities because you really, outside of, once they're superheroes at the end of the first movie, you don't really get a chance. Like they're just shells. Like they're not different. They're the same kids. So, I would have liked it better when they were in the superhero layer that they became kids again. Why do you need to run around in tight suit?
You can just say Shazam and then boom, you're there. Once the staff is stolen, it's revealed that the wizard is in jail. Lucy Liu and Helen Mirren have...
I'm going to screw up his name. Go ahead, dig it out.
Hold on. Let me look it up.
Jimon? Is the D silent?
Jimon Hunsu. So you do not pronounce the D. Jimon Hunsu.
Okay.
He plays the wizard again. And this was kind of murky to me, but it didn't really matter that he apparently dies in the first Shazam movie. But no, he was just leaving this realm. And he had cast a barrier between the realm of the gods and Earth to keep them from coming after the staff or what have you. But when the staff was broken, like I said before, that barrier was destroyed. So now they have free reign to come in. So they have him in jail. Because he didn't die, he just went into another realm at the end.
Is that what happens to us?
I think that's I think that's what happened to him.
So if that's the case, because in now that I'm thinking about this, in the lair, those in the first movie, all those demon creatures came to life, did they not?
They did, yes.
Okay, and then here they're still statues again, and they've gone to the extent of putting silly Hawaiian shirts on them and hats and sunglasses. But if the barrier was broken, you think that they would have been alive again. Yeah,
Well,
don't think too hard on this one, kids. They find the apple, which was been laying around in the lair. Like, where did the apple come from?
it was just a paperweight in the lair.
Yeah, just hanging out.
Yeah, and there's another fun character, Steve, which is just a pen.
Steve? I couldn't remember his name. I wrote down Stanley, Stan. I couldn't even remember Steve. Steve, yes. The magic pen, who
answers any question they have, by writing it down on magical parchment. So yeah, there's not a lot to say.
No,
about this. It's pretty standard. What is cool is when the tree of life is invariably planted. What is that? Phillies Stadium that they plant it in?
Yeah, it's
I'm not baseball.
Philadelphia baseball. It's Philadelphia Phillies.
They plant it in the stadium. Its roots come out through the entire city, and these bubbles appear in many of the roots and mythical creatures.
All these mythical creatures.
So you got harpies, you got minotaurs, you got griffins,
Cyclops
is in there. But the coup de grace, what all monsters are afraid of. And they asked Steve, how can we beat these monsters? What are they afraid of? Unicorns,
which we had. So a callback to an earlier scene with the little girl making the diorama with the unicorns.
Yeah. And kudos to this older actress who's playing the little girl as a superhero because she nails it. I don't know how old the kid is, maybe 9 years old, 8 or 9 years old, as a kid. Yeah, she has an affinity for Skittles.
Yes.
And that joke comes back.
That's another joke at the beginning of the movie, because you find out that demons these demon unicorns hate humanity. They're everything anti what we think unicorns are, but they love ambrosia. And so she has this brilliant idea. They find the unicorns, and again, gorgeous to look at. The design of these characters, of these unicorns, these demon horses, big Clydesdale with almost like spikes coming out of their cheeks.
And they're completely black.
Yes, they are all black. Big monster horn. And they see these kids, and boy, they are just barreling down. They're going to have a field day. And at the last second, she throws them a bunch of Skittles, and they taste the rainbow.
They taste the rainbow. It is apparently a suitable substitute for ambrosia, is Skittles.
Listen, you give me demon unicorns that feed on fear and ambrosia, I'm in.
Thanks to the Skittles, suddenly the kids are riding these demon unicorns, and they're beating the harpies. And these are also cool. All these mythical creatures that are coming out.
Yeah. So I did feel that there were certain ones that looked very practical compared to just CG creatures running around, causing death and destruction. So
and we get a little taste of the Simpsons movie, because there's a dome that comes down at one point.
Yeah, all while there's a dragon on the loose.
Yes,
dragon, and Lucy Liu is now riding the dragon. She's racing, and I'm like, listen, I get it. I'm on board. This is all fantasy crap. But this dragon wings are so torn up and so full of holes. There's no way this thing would have gotten off the ground.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was made of wood as well, so
it would have been pretty heavy.
Would impede it. Yeah, that would impede it.
But it was itself. A nice design. It was a cool, because it came from the tree, right?
Yeah.
So then why aren't all the other creatures made out of wood?
Yeah. So by the end of the movie,
wait, we're already tearing it apart.
Lucy Liu kills Helen Mirren, because Helen Mirren is going to put a stop to her plans of taking over the earth. She does not want the tree of life to be planted on Earth. Lucy Liu, again, has other plans for it, kills Helen Mirren so she can plant the tree of life and then take over the world, and then like make humanity her slaves. So she
sounds like a lot of work.
So she makes it that far. She does plant, like we said, into the baseball stadium. So then now our heroes are dealing with the demons, which are the mythical creatures, which they deal with the unicorns, and now they've got to take care of Lucy Liu. So at one point, a dome is put down by Helen Mirren and Lucy Liu to protect the tree, which has just been planted. So in order to beat the dragon and Lucy Liu, Shazam himself, because it's his movie, so he's got to deal with this on his own. He gets his family out.
Half of those kids lose their powers.
They all do, I think, by the end.
I think by the end, but.
So they've all lost their powers except for our main guy, Shazam. So he's stuck in the dome, which is constricting with the dragon and Lucy Liu and the tree. And he's got the staff as well. So if he draws all the power he can from the dome, the dragon, everything that's going on around him, then with one blast concentrated that's inside this dome, he can do it. But he's going to kill himself at the same time.
Yeah. Which I think we saw in Dragon Slayer. Right? The wizard just used all his power to blow up.
He did. He became a grenade, the wizard, at the end of Dragon Slayer. So it works. He beats the dragon, but he is dead, unfortunately. And the staff is dead as well.
Yeah, but as we know, no one is dead.
Yeah, it actually goes as far as to give him a funeral. They bury him.
Where do they bury him, by the way? Where are they? Themyscira? Are they like in some Greek temple?
No, they're on the snowy mountain in Snow Beast. He's buried next to that guy that got...
He's still that guy. They're still waiting for the spring thaw to go get that guy out. Yeah, this doesn't make any sense. The whole family's there, but you just bury him in the dirt. You don't bury him in an actual coffin.
Yeah, and of course they've got to raise the stakes a little in this one, so the parents, the foster parents, find out that the kids are heroes, so they're along with the ride at the end.
This is every sitcom trope in the world, which is, we're duping our parents. They don't know what's really going on. Every time we get a family meeting, we're going for a walk. Where are you going?
Yeah.
5 kids, 5 superheroes. And once Shazam died, wouldn't he have reverted back to Billy?
You'd think so. Yeah.
Or was he Billy? Because Wonder Woman comes. But the fact that she comes back at the end and basically reignites the staff and saves Billy, brings him back to life, is ruined because they've now shown her in the trailers.
Yeah. And she's in it for like 5 minutes.
Yeah. And
so they're advertising that she's in it. So anybody that's going to go for her is going to be sorely disappointed.
No, but now you're waiting. Now you're like, oh, well, I guess Wonder Woman saves him because it's 3/4 of the way through the movie and I haven't seen her yet. Again, I don't know who pulls these trailers together. Maybe they're like, well, if we show Wonder Woman now, maybe we'll get an extra 3 people in the theater who actually like that first one because the second one sucked, but at least the first one.
Billy or Zachary, zombie-like, comes out of the grave.
Yeah.
And he's talking to Wonder Woman. And she's like, you got something in your teeth. And it's like, oh, spider, that's gross.
That's spider, yeah. But he's like hitting on her.
And then he says, I know that we both have the power of Zeus, your dad, flowing through our veins, but that doesn't mean that we're related. It kind of does, though.
Yeah, that kind of does. And you're a kid. Yeah.
That did. That didn't stop Elizabeth Perkins in the next movie.
Well, no, it didn't. But I will say she didn't know. When she realized, and she's like, you know what? One more time. And then we're done. Did you catch during this whole big fight sequence the cameo of our original Billy Batson?
Of course, yeah. They couldn't have hit you over the head harder with the hammer with that cameo.
This guy's got to be 90 years old. He's wearing the red shirt with the yellow collar, so he's wearing, and he calls him Captain Marvel. Well, I'm somebody. There's a copyright. There's a trademark. They send a check to Marvel Studios for that one. But Michael Gray, who played the original Billy Batson from the 1974 Sid and Marty Krofft Saturday morning show.
And it looked like he'd spent some time in the tanning booth. He was like George Hamilton tan.
Yeah.
We lived in a generation where we had to listen to Adam Westkovich because he wasn't in the 1989 Batman in even a cameo.
Nowadays,
the fact that they're giving this guy a bone. Yeah. Nowadays.
Him in there.
He would have been in the Flash, I'm sure, if he was still around.
Too bad we didn't see Electro Woman and Dinah Girl.
Yeah.
Bigfoot and Wild Boy.
Yep.
Damn,
all them.
They could have all come back. Maybe we'll get Singing in the Sea Monsters in
the Flash.
Aquaman. No, Aquaman too.
Oh, okay. So now we have 2 end credit sequences. This is funny because I'll share a story about my theater. So when we go in, and this again is the smaller theater, we didn't go to the Regal. We went to our local in New Paltz, New York, and we're getting our popcorn. And the guy behind the desk very helpfully says, hey, make sure that you stay because there's two end credit sequences, one in mid credits and one at the very end. Yeah. So I'm like, thank you. So now I don't have to, pull my phone out and try to figure out because I never do it beforehand because I don't want to be spoiled. I don't want to read something by accident that's going to spoil me.
Yeah.
He must not have gotten to everybody because the movie ends.
Some people don't care.
Some people don't care, but as they're leaving, because our theater, because it's a small theater, opens to the lobby. So if you're sitting close enough to the back, you can hear the popcorn, you can hear people coming in.
Wow. So
it's that close to the lobby. So as people are leaving, I could hear the same guy stopping them. Wait. There's an end credit. No, go back. Go back and sit down. There's two end credits. So he's policing the lobby, stopping people, and most of them, I guess maybe a couple of them snuck by him, but they all came back.
I'm not going to be bullied.
And we're standing there waiting for the credits to end.
As are the staff looking to clean the damn place.
Yeah.
Come on. The end credits have ruined it for them. It's like, I got 2 minutes to clean this and get the next showing going.
So the first end credit is, like we said, it's two characters from Peacemaker.
Right.
And they invite our Shazam, not everybody, not the whole family, just Zachary Levi.
But where is he? He's like somewhere out in the middle of the woods practicing his superpowers.
Yeah. I mean, was this meeting scheduled, or did they just happen upon
they just
him?
happened to know where he was. And I'm like, where is
at any
he?
given time? Yeah.
Us as a moviegoer didn't know where he was. But this is supposedly where they wanted Black Adam to come in and offer him, or something to the effect of him being recruited with the Justice Society. I'm like, why would Black Adam ask him to join him?
He's not in the
not associated. It doesn't matter because The Rock, from what I understand, said, no, we're not doing it.
So now it's these two characters from Peacemaker, one of which is James Gunn's wife in real life, ask him to become a member of the Justice. And he goes, oh, and he thinks they're going to say the Justice League, which is funny. And it's like, well, what's that? What's the Justice Society? And I asked the same thing when I went to see Black Adam. I'm like, who are these people?
He's like, why would you have two superhero teams with Justice as an, and I'm like, yeah, it's a good question.
Yeah.
Apparently DC was not very creative.
And then, talk about Marvel sharpening their talons with their legal department. He pulls up the thesaurus on his phone. Like you could have a ton of names. If I look up justice on thesaurus.com, it's like, oh, Avengers Society. I like that.
I like that. Yeah, that was funny. I guess I knew that I should have known who those two characters were, but I didn't. They immediately mentioned Amanda Waller.
Yep.
So I've only seen one episode of Peacemaker.
But the one dude, the bearded guy, was in Suicide Squad.
Okay, that's where I saw him then. So they asked him to be a part of the group.
Yep. And if this is or isn't going to happen, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It doesn't matter.
If they're going to carry through on that. Now it's Mrs. James Gunn. I think he has to do something with her. So
yeah, you go to that extent. I don't know. It's an end credit scene. You could easily have gotten rid of it or altered it. If you were, why leave it in where there's all these questions? Will he show up again or won't he show up again?
Even more questions at the end credit scene with Dr. Savannah again in the cell. Yeah. And you get teased with that worm guy. What's his name?
I don't remember now. I couldn't even remember what Sylvana's name was. But he's like, dude, where have you been? 2 years. And I'm like, yeah, 2 years. We forgot all about this end credit sequence. So you're bringing it back.
And the worm is funny. He's like, hey, I'm a worm. It takes me a long time to get around.
I got one more thing. Where are you going? Worm things. Listen, it's formulaic, but it was fun.
It is fun. It is fun.
I think if you enjoyed the first one, you'll like the continuation of these characters. I would have liked, like I said, it's very much a Freddy movie. At the detriment of some of the other characters, not really. You get the Pedro reveal that he's gay, and he comes out and everyone's like, yeah, we know that. But okay, that's about all you get. Mary's concerned about going to school. All she wants to do is study. So you don't really get a larger understanding of these characters, and maybe that was the whole point. But
I don't know if I'd want one. Like you said, I just wanted to go and be entertained and laugh a little bit, or at least chuckle. If not outright laugh, and that's what I did.
I put this in the cotton candy category. It's sugary fun while you're eating it. Completely forgettable. An hour later, 2 hours later, I had a hard time kind of composing my notes because I'm like, wait, what happened next? There wasn't really like a lot of gutsy stuff to kind of talk about.
Right. Like the unicorn sequence being the one exception to that. That's the standout,
Yeah. And she, as they're riding those unicorns into battle, she screams, taste the rainbow, mother effers.
And they artfully cut away before she drops the F-bomb.
We know what she's saying.
Yeah. Skittles must be loving that. Well, maybe not so much. Not the movie's not doing too well, but it's like, we got to be associated with this. And that's too bad. I really think it's too bad that this became a victim of this whole shuffling, because I think maybe in a different time, if they were just continuing on, business as usual, maybe this would have done better. I think maybe it was a victim of all this scuttlebutt. And it's too bad, because like you said, if you did enjoy the first one, there's enough for you here that would have brought people back into the theater. Yeah, I've seen some reviews saying, it doesn't have that charm that the first one did, but I think that's by design. You can't go back to the origin story.
Correct.
You know, a lot of that is fish out of water stuff that, you know, which is a gold mine, but you can't do that again. They've got the powers
to deal
now.
With. Right. You got to make them somewhat interesting. You guys got to be a little introspective.
So I think it's getting a bad rap. And maybe it'll get its audience when it comes to HBO Max because they're dropping it now mid-April, from what I'm hearing on HBO Max.
If we had only waited 2 weeks.
Yeah. We got to move on. There's Renfield. There's Dungeons and Dragons.
True.
There's Super Mario.
Super Mario. I know.
But yeah, so maybe it'll find its audience. I hope it does.
Yeah, it's a very kid friendly, you know, what's not to, you know, what kid is not fantasize about being superheroes. And again, now, you know, you turn on Disney Channel and there's, you know, tons of these shows where kids are already superheroes. It's a fantasy. It's a fun little diversion.
To that end, I think I'm going to give this 3.5 buckets out of 5.
Okay. I went 3.25. So just
3.25.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, go check it out for yourself.
It's a nice diversion on an afternoon, especially an afternoon like yesterday, a rainy, dreary afternoon. You didn't go the same time I did, but it was a nice getaway from the dreariness of the world. So that's all you can ask for sometimes.
That's all you can ask for.
All right. So are we going to go there with the concession stand treat?
We have to go there. I completely threw my original choice out the window once I saw this movie. And we're going Skittles.
So we're going to taste that rainbow.
We're going to taste a rainbow, mother effer. I hope that's her new tagline, by the way. I hope they just lean into that wholeheartedly.
Yeah. And just, you know, in the commercial, just beep it out, you know, at the end.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like when you can get away with, you know, Frank's Red Hot. I put that on everything. You know, advertising is a little more risque these days. So, listen, expand your fan base. I'm assuming that they paid product placement for that.
You had to get permission, right? They couldn't just use it.
Reese's Pieces said, "No, we're good. We already had one movie in the can. Yeah. We're good." So yeah, let's talk Skittles a little bit because there's some interesting things about this. I would like to think that everybody knows this iconic red packaging. They are little bags. They're basically M&M shapes, right? They're multicolored little candy-coated pieces, but they have an S on them. They have an S as opposed to an M. Or a W if you're looking at an M&M upside down.
Now, Skittles are a chewy candy. They are not chocolate whatsoever. They are like a chewy fruit-flavored candy. So they've got that gummy kind of constituency once you break through the shell.
Break through the shell, yeah.
Now, it's funny that you compare them to M&Ms. Well, it's not so funny because they do look exactly like M&Ms and maybe a bit brighter than M&Ms are because they're the rainbow. But they are deceiving because M&Ms, as you know, you can just gobble those down. Yes, you cannot eat just one M&M. Skittles, because they're the same size, psychologically, you're thinking you should do the same thing. A few Skittles go a long way. If you try to gobble Skittles like you do M&Ms, you get a stomach ache fast.
You can get a gabagoo in your mouth is what you get.
And then in your gut.
Yes. I didn't look into how long it takes to gestate one of these things, but it may hang around for a little bit. Chocolate has its day. It comes and goes, but I don't know. So it's multi-flavored, and the original flavors were strawberry, orange, lemon, grape, and lime. And do you have
a favorite out of those?
Oh, I like the lime. Although depending on what you look at, there are some people who claim that they all taste the same.
No way.
It's all psychological.
No way. Okay, M&Ms, I'll give you. Yeah, they taste the same. Yeah. But I'm not going to say the same thing about Skittles. I'm going to go for the grape Skittle every time.
Okay, grape. So I don't know if we'll get in on the back end because there's multiple different flavor variations on these things over the years they've made. Ridiculous.
Tropical, day glow, whatever you can think of. Yeah.
The weird thing about this, and I went to multiple websites to try and track this, no one actually knows who invented them.
How about when? I'm curious to know when.
So it's only given as an unknown British company. Everything that I looked into, they just attributed to it was a British company, but it wasn't until 1974 that it was copyrighted by Jack Candies Limited, which is now owned by Mars Wrigley Confections. So 74 was introduced. 79 they were created as an import confectionery to the U.S. from the U.K. And it wasn't until 82 that they became a domestic product.
Okay, so these came out new to the market while we were kids. So these are new during our childhoods. So we can actually say that Skittles are of our generation.
We are the Skittles generation.
Yes, we are.
Yeah. So the name Skittles actually comes from a UK game that was played in England, Scotland, and Wales. And it's because the candies resembled an object used in the game. So this game, it's close to bowling. One has to throw a rubber sphere at 9 pins. And the sphere is referred to as a Skittle. So going back to this whole, nobody really knows who created this original Skittles. But there's a theory out there, and this is my favorite, which was a man named Mr. Skittles just looked at a rainbow and wondered how it would taste. So there's like this lore behind Skittles, actually.
I don't think that's real.
No, I
don't think that's real.
It was his name, Mr. Wonka. So, but we've already mentioned this a couple times, Taste of Rainbow. That campaign did not drop until 1994.
Wow.
So it seems late. It was created by the Darcy Mazius Benton and Bowles ad agency in New York City.
Benton and Bowles?
Benton and Bowles.
That's an unfortunate name.
Which is where they stay, by the way. They're setting up residency in there. But they have a history of being involved in all these controversies because a couple years ago, I think it was early 2000s, they actually released a limited edition all-white version that supported same-sex marriage and LGBTQ.
Oh, what were they flavored?
That's a good question. So, but they were all white. The insides were white. Outside shells were white. I guess there's even, it ties into the Trayvon Martin, the shooting in 2010. I didn't realize he had a bag of Skittles in his pocket. So this is kind of like a rallying cry.
Wow.
But check this out. They're actually very effective and commonly used to treat hypoglycemia in diabetics.
Really?
If your sugar's low, pop a couple of these in your mouth. Yeah, take 2 Skittles and call me in the morning. And the current recipe, they are completely vegan and vegetarian friendly.
But again, not gut friendly. It's not like they're healthy.
No, I don't think that they would refer to these as a health food by any means.
Right.
Listen,
it's a way to spin it, right? It's a way to spin it.
Yeah, but if I'm diabetic, and my sugar gets low, to have a bag of Skittles on hand, I mean, listen, that's. Again.
I wonder if there was an ad campaign before the 90s Taste the Rainbow. I don't remember there being. I think it just showed up on the shelves one day.
Showed up, yeah. Yeah, I don't remember that either. I went.
Maybe you'd see one like a print ad in a comic book, maybe, on occasion.
I don't know. They're pretty large. I mean, they're right there at the top shelf in your concession stand.
Yes, they are. They're a mainstay of the concession stand.
Yeah. I don't know how they would actually pair up with pop.
Again, though, I would not recommend eating a whole box of those things during the course of the movie. No. I would not. Maybe about a quarter is about enough for me. Yeah,
that's not a one-sitting box by any means. But you had asked me before as far as my favorite flavor. So there's multiple variations. And I don't think that they're sold in individual. Like, you can't just get a box of grapes, as far as I know. But they do have sour, crazy sour, sweet and sour, tropical, as you mentioned. There is a Trick Play Skittle, which is a football-themed Skittle edition where the colors don't match the flavors.
Oh.
So, riddle me this. What am I going to eat?
Mixing it up, Skittles.
Yeah. There's a Cauldron, which is a seasonal edition.
Oh, I can't get off that. Wait a second. Think about the connotations of this. So that could break your brain. If you eat an orange Skittle and tastes
like
great,
lime.
I couldn't deal with that. I couldn't process that.
If you ate them in the dark, it wouldn't matter. You're sitting in a movie theater.
I guess you're true, but then the novelty wouldn't be there if you didn't even realize what you were doing.
The Skittle's an imposter.
Yeah.
I don't know. So, but this Cauldron, it's a seasonal edition, which has Lurking Lemon, Twisted Tangerine, Boogie Berry, which I would stay. Bogey Berry, maybe it's Bogey Berry, Gripping Grape, and Petrified Pear. None of those sound
No, that all sounds like it's Harry Potter stuff.
Yes, right. Yeah, don't put an adjective in front of them. Just give me lemon, tangerine, berry, and grape.
Do you have anything there about the zombie Skittles?
No, I don't know anything about zombie Skittles.
It's not unlike the mystery Skittle thing or the trick Skittle thing that you were just talking about, but zombie Skittles had, like at random, terrible tasting Skittles.
When my daughter was 10, we had a Harry Potter themed party, and I got the chocolate frogs. We did a whole map where they had to go and find their wands and their owl. But yeah, I bought all the different boxes of the Birdie Bots with all the yucky flavors. And you're right, some of those, it's like, why would I eat a booger flavored jelly bean? They do have a fizzled fruit, which actually fizzes when you eat it. I'm like, that's Pop Rocks.
Okay, so here we go. I found zombie Skittles, got a special gray bag with the zombie outline on it. It's got all the original flavors with one addition, rotten zombie. So you don't know when you're going to get rotten zombie.
So any one of the colors could be a rotten zombie flavor.
Exactly.
So it's not like they're gray or black or white.
Yeah. So it's more, I guess you could avoid it by tasting just a little bit of it. But, the fun is, I guess, maybe playing a truth or dare type game with your friends. Like, I dare you to, like, Russian roulette kind of a thing.
That's like the gum that oozes out black when you give it to your friends. It's like,
so,
here, you want a piece of gum?
The flavor of rotten zombie, let's see, as described here, you will feel like you are eating a rotten egg soaked in garlic.
Why? Wouldn't it? And wouldn't, if it's sitting in a bag with all the other ones, wouldn't it like contaminate the fun flavors?
Well, it's got the shell around it, so it wouldn't.
I don't want it anywhere near my other ones. I'm not even buying that bag. What psycho created that? Skittles. Somebody at Mars needs to be fired for that. So that's all I got on the Skittles.
Skittles was more of a favorite when I was a kid. Not so much now because, like I said, my digestive system isn't as strong as it used to be.
No, but if you have pet unicorns, keep them on hand.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
It's probably cheaper than ambrosia. So there you go. That's the history of Skittles.
All right, so let's go back to the theater.
Yes. This is wow, you're right. This is a long time coming. This is like one of those big movies that all of us probably saw in the theater in 1988.
Yeah, I was 17. It came out June 3rd, 1988, to be exact.
So it was the summer? Well, spring into summer, yeah.
Yeah, it was. It was one of these movies that I saw probably by myself because I used to go most weekends back then when I was that age and see all the movies that were coming out.
Yeah, I do know for a fact that I saw it with other people, but I couldn't tell you who those people were. 88, I was probably already working in Manhattan at the time.
Yeah.
Again, any movie set in Manhattan while I'm in there it's just icing on the cake, because I will tell you, after this movie came out, we spent a lot of time at FAO Shores, and it is exactly the way it's depicted in this movie. There's just random guns and laser tag things that you can grab and run around and play with, and it was a free for all. Although the toys were so expensive, I don't remember people, like a teddy bear the size of my car, and just crazy stuff in there, high-end stuff, but multiple floors. Exactly. You walk in, you got the big clock and the whole thing. And yeah, of course, this movie brought home that damn keyboard. So FAO Schwartz closed. There's no T in it, by the way. It's not Schwartz. It's Schwartz. It was a mecca for people on vacation, who came in. It's like, oh, let's go see the sights. It's a sightseeing thing. Because again, the toys were so expensive. They did close. They closed quite a few years ago and then reopened, I think, in a smaller venue somewhere, maybe in the bottom, just like Toys R Us are coming back and Macy's.
But it's not like that piano was a set piece. That was there.
Yeah, that was a product that they sold. Again, super high end stuff that now they make those that you can roll out. That was like monstrous. So
it's not like they dreamed it up for the movie. It's like somebody saw it and said that this would be a good thing to have in the movie.
Yeah. So we'll get there because that's halfway through the movie.
Yeah, but let's talk about Tom Hanks a little bit.
Let's talk about Tom Hanks. Lovable Tom Hanks. Do no wrong Tom Hanks.
Like we said last week, he was around for quite a few years from the early 80s onwards, but Big put him into the big time. Like he wasn't like a top tier Sure. So I'm looking at his filmography.
Well, you got, I would say, and I went right to Bosom Buddies in Bachelor Party, but Splash
was like, he started in the movies at the pinnacle because Splash was a huge hit. Then you get your Bachelor Party, which had a limited audience, R-rated movie.
Yeah. Both same year, by the way, 84.
Same year, but then he goes to 85, drops a tear. Man with One Red Shoe, not exactly a classic.
No, he was doing about 2 movies a year, which
Volunteers again, not exactly.
Where he met his wife, by the way.
Yeah, the Money Pit.
Money Pit, one of my wife's favorite movies. So you can't
and he tried actually to go into drama early. Remember Nothing in Common with Jackie Gleason?
Yeah, saw it in the theater. Punchline. He was so. We'll get into it back end because he wanted this movie. They wanted him for this movie, but he was filming Punchline at the time. But De Niro was set to play this role.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like it's a completely different movie.
It would have been because would it have been funny? I don't know.
Well, I think he's proven himself in later years that he can kind of poke fun at himself. Meet the Fockers.
But he's playing off his tough guy. You know, look at what's the movie with Charles Grodin? Midnight Run. Again, he's just making fun of his own tough guy persona, which wouldn't really happen in Big. I don't know.
You can only
wonder.
Speculate. But you're right. Bosom Buddies was 80 to 82. And that's where I was first introduced to Mr. Tom Hanks.
Yeah. And of course, everybody.
That television show, Pete Scolari, who I had a chance to meet years ago at New York Comic Con. That to me is like pinnacle of television because it was just this weird, obscure show. They worked at an ad agency, and the writing and the camaraderie between those two characters is just fantastic. So right out of the gate, Tom Hanks is, very likable. He was Uncle Ned on Family Ties. Multiple episodes.
So it's not like he wasn't known because he was headlining movies, but he wasn't like in the big league movie star category.
No, that was later. League of Their Own.
Followed up big with a couple of other, The Burbs, which is very highly regarded, but it wasn't a huge hit. Turner and Hooch came out the next year after Big. Joe versus the Volcano, a favorite of mine of Tom Hanks, but again, not a
but he was working.
Movie.
He was working, but he's working. You're right in the sense that in the zeitgeist, he hit right at the right time. This movie is just a sweet spot because the way he plays this character. Yeah, we just talked about Zachary Levi and how he probably wasn't even on set with the kid who actually played Billy. Where here, which I don't know if you know this, and I didn't know this until I started doing research. So Penny Marshall directed this. Script written by Steven Spielberg's sister, Anne. He was actually at one point set to direct it, and he didn't want to take anything away from her. So he backed out. But when Penny Marshall was filming this, they filmed every scene of adult Josh with the kid actor first, and then Tom Hanks stepped in and recreated what that kid did.
Yeah, they couldn't actually get the kid offset when he was doing the boob feel scene with Elizabeth.
Well, I did question whether or not he was on set that day. And that's where I'm watching this, and I've easily seen this like 100+ times. This movie inside out, and yet the scene where he's playing squash with the jerk, and I'm like, this is just like literally there's a scene where he's playing tennis in Bachelor Party, and I'm like, that's the exact same scene.
And as a matter of fact, I'm waiting for him to knock the ball over the wall. And I'm like, oh, that was Bachelor Party. That isn't
right. Yeah. No. It's a home run.
So lots of other people were considered. So it wasn't just De Niro. Travolta wanted badly to play Josh, but the studio didn't want him because they thought he was box office poison at the time.
Horrible. That's horrible. He had to wait a couple of years before Quentin Tarantino came a-calling.
Yeah. And a bunch of actors turned it down. Kevin Costner, Steve Guttenberg. He would have been great.
Guttenberg would have been good. 87 was 3 Men and a Baby. I think it's 87. Someone's going to fact check me there.
But Warren Beatty, he's another one that I can't really see doing it. Dennis Quaid, he could have done it. Matthew Modine, maybe. Spielberg, when he was attached, wanted Harrison Ford to do it.
Yeah, that's odd.
Albert Brooks turned it down. He probably would have been good.
But
He's
a lot
a funny
of these
guy.
guys, I think, are too old. Like
because
part of the charm of Hanks is he's got that child. I mentioned it last week. It's really weird advertising. Now you get a big movie poster and pretty much, the trailer tells you everything that you're going to see. The movie poster lays it all out there for you. It's a big headshot with all the little character heads. And this is just an extreme close up of Tom Hanks' face.
With a very childish expression on his face, by the way.
And that's right. That, just says, have you ever had a really big secret?
But they're selling him. I think that's the point. They're selling him.
But that's funny, like you said, because really outside of Splash and some of these other little things that he's done beforehand, like nobody really knew who he was. So at least at De Niro, you would have known who he was. But that little kid-like face sells it. And you're kind of like, all right. I mean, that was enough to get us in the theater. Yeah.
Although, to be fair, you've also got TV advertising, you've got movie trailers. So they're probably hoping that the average moviegoer is not just basing their opinion on this poster. Like, oh, I know what this movie's about.
No, correct. Right.
Yeah.
And obviously our...
and he's like kind of beckoning you. Like if you see that poster in the theater, he's like, come here. Yeah. You want to see my movie? Come here. That's what he's saying to you from the poster.
It's a bold choice is what I'm getting at.
Yep.
Like an extreme close up of this guy. So, but this is I forgot that the mom was Mercedes Ruehl.
And I forgot that John Hurt is even in this.
I'm like, so this is what Kevin's dad does for a living? Home Alone.
Kevin's dad has another life.
Well, he had a little side thing with Susan, so.
Yeah, I guess so. And what is their relationship, by the way, during the course of this movie? Because they're carpooling. So do they live together? No, because Josh goes over to her place.
She asked for her key back at one point. So obviously, and she gave him all of his little toiletries in a little paper bag. So
yet they're still driving to work together.
Yeah, I'll pick you up on the way. Yeah, they're booty buddies. Yeah, they're. The one thing I really like about this is not only obviously the main storyline where, he wishes to be big and he becomes big and now you got to deal with that. But the Elizabeth Perkins character, Susan, how she's so uptight at the beginning of the movie and she's really wound. And then you see her evolution as she becomes very childlike the more she hangs out with Josh. She loosens up, her hair comes down, her makeup becomes softened up. There's some interesting things going on here. And from what I understand, there was an alternate ending that was shot and shown at screenings where she shows up at school as a little kid.
But there's so many questions. There's so many questions that would come with that. Where does she live? How does she survive?
Well, so I have a laundry list of questions at the end of this movie. Because I'm thinking to myself, like, are they just going to mail him his last check? Is he going to get a 1099 at the end of the year? Like, I'm like, you can't just disappear.
Is the adult Josh now going to be the one on the milk cartons? Is he a missing person?
And how long do you have to be missing before you turn up on a milk carton? Because what is this, like a 6-week window?
And what is the kid Josh going to tell his mother where he was?
Well, that's just it, because he tries it. He goes back home and he tries to tell her, and she immediately thinks that he's, a burglar. He's trying to explain. I love the fact that his buddy Billy immediately says, "It's you." He's like the kid buys into it, and the mom is like, "I don't know what you did to my kid. Get up on my house." She's chasing him around with a knife. I don't know.
That's because kids are much more open-minded than adults are. All he has to do is sing the song that they sing to each other, and he knows that's all
Josh.
It takes. That's all it takes.
I'm a creepy guy hanging out in the woods and I hear these two kids.
But then again, if you're like your best friend, and you think maybe the mom would have some recognition that, he's telling the truth because
he's telling her facts about his life. And where's dad? Outside of that opening carnival sequence, you don't see the dad again. I want to know how many other people this Zoltar machine ruined. Zoltar, right? He can't be the only one making wishes.
I know.
This thing's just traveling the world. I want to see that as an Amazon anthology. Every week, a different kid makes a wish.
It only actually works that way if it's unplugged, because he had to unplug it at the end in order for it to get it to work.
What happened if he got there and he didn't have a quarter? That's it. You're out of luck.
Which is Ride Playland, by the way.
It is Ride Playland, yes. But not the opening. So the opening when they're into Carnival and he's oogling Cynthia, who this little girl is like the quintessential 80s teen dream girl of any 13-year-old. the bebop hair with the blonde, and then she's got the little, but he's out of his league, literally.
I know. Well, he's about a foot shorter than she is.
And
first
Tommy
of
can
all,
drive, or whoever that kid was.
Yeah. And this kid is so small, he can't even get on the carnival ride that they're going on.
And I will say, I have a deep hatred of carnies.
Why don't you try the kiddie rides over there?
Yeah, why don't you humiliate me a little bit more? I will tell you, when I took my kids to Disney, my son was not big enough for the Aerosmith rock and roller coaster. He was not tall enough. He still brings that up, that traumatized him. Embarrassed the hell out of him.
Why did you make him wait there by himself as you went?
No, we just didn't go on the ride. Yeah, just stay right here, buddy. I'll be right back. No, and the guy gave him a free ride when he grows up, and he's like, screw that. Oh, he was
a free ride. It's not like you have to pay to get on it. You've already paid to get in the park.
I don't know. Whatever. It was a concession price. My son was not happy. But this is a fun sequence where, he's distraught. He's bummed out. I did like the fact when he finds Zoltar, there's a whole bank of video games, like freestanding arcade games all along the boardwalk that the other kids were playing. I'm like, that's where I would probably spend all my money. That's exactly where I spent all my money. My grandfather would take my brother and I to the Steuben County Fair, give us $20 a pop, and then he would go to the beer tent, which any good grandfather would do. And because that's exactly what I would do now. Thank you very much. And we spent all of our money playing arcade games.
Which just in itself shows that it's a different time, because you would never lose track of a kid these days at a crowded fair.
Right. We always knew where my parents were. Yeah, just go.
But like these days, you have to like keep a firm grip on your kids at any given point, like at a place like that.
But the mom is yelling at him to get ready for school, and he's running around, and he doesn't realize yet that he's big, or I guess he does. So he has to steal his dad's clothes. But she's folding laundry, including his underwear, on the kitchen table. You're disgusting. What are you doing? When he comes back and he tries to tell her, he's trying to give her like little facts about his life, and he pulls his pants down to show, I don't know, he had a shot in his butt or something. And,
no, he had a birthmark behind his knee.
But he's wearing the kid's underwear. There's like cartoons on the underwear. It's like, so you snuck into my house and stole my son's underwear?
Now, seeing that, right? Okay, so let's accept that she makes no correlation between young Josh and this old Josh. So she is not buying.
Because, I mean, I hate to say, as a parent, why would you?
But the fact that this guy, yes, is wearing her son's underwear, she's taking his disappearance extremely well throughout the rest of this movie.
I mean, the police, right? Like I said, where's Dad?
Anybody else would be in a mental institution by the time that Josh comes back.
Especially when she's getting phone calls from him saying, Josh is fine. He's okay.
Well, where is he? No, who's got him?
Right. And why do you have him?
Yeah.
Is there a ransom? Aton Patz was the first kid that actually showed up on a milk carton. He was abducted he disappeared in 1979. He didn't show up on a milk carton until 1984. Now I guess we have Amber Alert, but there was a point in lives where, I don't know, people who are listening to this that may not be old enough to realize that really, they would put missing kids on milk cartons, orange juice cartons. Have you seen this kid? Later, I think they would even do like workups of what this kid may look like now.
Right. And I guess the idea is that if most people are getting milk or getting it to go with their cereal, or kids are drinking milk,
right. Because you're always, I mean, again, probably, back in the day, we would sit down and you would have the milk out when you're having cereal or whatever. Yeah. It's just sitting there. It's free advertising. You're looking at it.
And so Josh, as Tom Hanks, is forced out of his house because his mother pretty much beats him with a broom. And so he runs out. But yeah, he goes to school. Which
you couldn't do nowadays either.
Right.
You can't be an adult man walking into the school and hiding in the gymnasium little closet.
That's where he gets to Billy. Right. So Billy hooks him up with some of his dad's clothes, like a lot of his clothes, because he's got a few.
He took a lot of clothes.
So then he sets him up at the St. James, the seediest hotel in New York City.
This is great though, because this is quintessential 80s Times Square. This is when I was working, like I said, 88 through 90, I was working in Manhattan, and I was on 34th and Madison, and I spent a lot of time in Times Square. Times Square was not a nice place.
And and Hanks, I have to give him credit. This scene is not played for laughs either when he's in this room.
He's realizing, this is, I mean, you get goosebumps just thinking about it when Billy's like, I got to go home. And yet he spends every waking moment with him in the city.
And he says,
like,
nobody
misses this kid.
This is hysterical. I've got to be home by 10. What?
Yeah. Yeah. What'd you do? I was out playing with Josh.
Yeah. I went to Manhattan. I went to Manhattan to the St. James Hotel.
Yeah. But after he turns and he realizes what happened, because he has the Zoltar Speaks card, he goes back to where the carnival was. They was just there the night before. They're all gone. I'm like, no carny's going to pack up and be gone the very next morning.
Hey, it's Zoltar. Magically whisked them away. That's what it was. Yeah.
Could be. So, but yeah, there was so many defunct products floating around on billboards there in Times Square.
I know. Fujifilm.
Yep. Kodak, JVC.
We used to actually have to buy film and then get it developed after the roll was done.
$17.50 a night plus a $10 deposit for the sheets at the St. James Hotel. But you're right. I think he cleaned out his dad's wardrobe because he did have plenty of clothes. Which
he even had an outfit to go to a job interview in. Yeah,
full suit.
Yeah,
I did like that though. When so he's trying to help him. They're in the diner, and he's going through the help wanted ads. Because you get at the beginning of the movie, he's playing video games, even though it's old school, Commodore 64 floppy disk Oregon Trail type of wizard.
Although they didn't really take advantage of that ad because you'd think that like in that waiting room would be like 10 comic book guys from The Simpsons, like waiting for this job, all badly dressed.
Yeah, because nobody knew computers back then.
Yeah,
that was like I said, my first job was pre-computer. Everything was still on the board in the ad agency.
But before he gets there, he goes with Billy to try to track down the Zoltar machine. And they say it's going to take 6 weeks to get a list of all the carnivals in the area. So Josh now has 6 weeks to survive, hence the job.
But he's paying $17.50 a night. So how much money does this kid really have?
He stole the emergency fund, did Billy, from his dad's sock drawer.
That's interesting you say that, because there was a cut scene where I guess a mean-spirited adult Josh takes advantage of being an adult and bullies a ginger-haired kid and takes his money and uses it to buy himself a sauerkraut and drinks water from a fountain and refuses to let other kids drink from the fountain. But the scene was cut because obviously you don't want your hero to be a jerk.
Right.
Thankfully, they cut that out. But so maybe he just bullied his way into... He saw what was happening to Freddie in the other movie, and he's like, it's not going to happen to me.
Right.
I'm going to take that money from you now.
But yeah, he gets the job at McMillan Toys. He does inventory and a computer. I don't know really what exactly he's
I don't know
doing.
if he was processing invoices or something. He was just putting in. But this is where we get John Lovitz. I forgot that John Lovitz was in this.
I know. So briefly.
Yeah, I know. That there's got to be more fun stuff on the cutting room floor with him.
Yep.
Because at one point he's like, you see that girl in red? Yeah, say hi to her. She'll wrap her legs around your head. And he goes, well, stay away from her then. And later when he's at the, he runs into her. She says hi to him and he
slinks away.
My great callback.
Again, watch this with my son and that joke about she'll wrap your legs around you. My son laughed at that. I'm like, why are you laughing at that?
What are you laughing at?
Nothing.
So they get the his first check, $187, which he like $187.
Yeah,
which is funny.
But if you go to a check cashing place, because again, if you don't have a checking account, they charge you to cash your check. So at one point she was like, well, how do you want that? And they go over and they confer with each other. It goes 3 dimes, $100 bill, and 87 ones. So, and then we go right into them, and they're eating pizza. They're having a grand old time. They got all kinds of fun. So it's a silly string scene, very iconic. Yep. And you got Billy Idol playing and I'm like, so did he pay for MTV?
Well, apparently it's part of the package at the St. James Hotel, right?
Yeah. Listen, if you're paying sheets by the hour, I doubt that television comes with it. But
maybe since, Rebel Yell was 4 years before this movie, they're probably getting, 4-year-old broadcasts of MTV at this hotel.
I don't know. Yeah. So, but then we come to the iconic FAO Schwartz scene, where he's running around shooting laser tag at kids.
And he's convulsing on the floor when his boss finds him.
Love that scene because he just completely sells it.
And he's like, "Are you here with your kids?" "No, I'm just looking around."
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, me too. Yeah.
No red flag from that, because he's there for the same purpose.
Robert Loggia, who's this big CEO of this toy company, just wanders around the floor of FAO Schwarz on a Saturday to see what the kids are buying.
Mm-hmm. So. Yep. And so because of this, and then you get the iconic, of course, we can't skip over the piano scene where they play Heart and Soul, which, my son had to learn during his piano lessons.
But even better was the Chopsticks.
And they do it all on camera. They are actually doing it.
They do it because on the day that they filmed that scene, they both realized that there were stand-ins. They had two look-alike stand-ins just in case they couldn't pull it off. And so the two of them said, "We're going to do this." Mm-hmm. And so, it's all them. They don't do any trickery where you camera shots from behind. So you just see the feet. I mean, you do see the feet in certain scenes, but they do it. And what I love is that, as they start, you're watching them, but then you realize that there are people gathering behind them. Like this is a show. This
scene is what people invariably think of when they think of this movie, me included.
They use it on the front of they don't even use that big head of Tom Hanks for the DVD anymore. It's him on the piano.
Yeah.
It is a great scene. This is a fantastic movie.
It's a very believable transition to what happens next to Josh. He gets a promotion too, because he had this bonding moment with his boss, to the VP of product development. So basically he plays with toys and gives them his ideas on them.
That's a dream job right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't care what you got to say. And and of course, you got the Paul and the Susans of the world who are just like, who is this guy and where is he coming from?
So
he's got to be from corporate.
Did this movie come up with the idea for the Dinobots?
No, actually, because this was 88. So even if they filmed it in 87, Transformers were already out in 84. GoBots were 83. GoBots came out before Transformers.
Yeah, but they talk about dinosaurs turning into robots during this scene.
Insecticons came out 3 years prior.
Okay, so
they weren't really
all right.
The whole idea of the bug robot, because that is another great scene where they're going, you got the guy up there and he's just talking logistics. He's just talking numbers. And Josh kind of raises his hand. He's like, he's playing with the building. He's like, I don't get it, which gets thrown in his face later. He is coming at it from a child's perspective, which is, why am I going to pay hard-earned money for a toy that is a building half the time?
Right. And it does look like it's fallen apart in his hands. And it does look like something that maybe that you'd want as a kid, but once you have it, you don't ever play with it again.
Yeah,
I guess. Or even I knew he didn't invent Transformers, but I was thinking maybe Dinobots,
at least
Insecticons, right? Maybe no. Yeah. I guess, but you've refuted that as well. But he moves into a deluxe apartment in the sky.
So I'm assuming that he got a raise with his
if he's VP, I'm hoping he's making more than $187.
I have a buddy who works in corporate in the banking industry, and I know for a fact that they hand out those VP names labels pretty willy-nilly. But he's got to be paying a pretty penny, and I'm assuming he probably paid a 6-month lease. I don't know.
Well, maybe the company set him up. Maybe they're paying for this whole deal. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. But again, here's where I'm like, nobody's missing Billy.
He's still calling his mother and torturing her. Is Josh, right?
Yeah.
Forget about Billy. Josh is making these random phone calls to his mother. Your son's all right. And we're torturing this poor woman.
And meanwhile, John Lovitz is over here in this conversation. Like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah, if there's any kind of letting go process, she's not having it because
and it's like, what did police be like sitting around your house 24/7?
Exactly.
We've seen this in every movie. You tap the phone line. No, she just goes about her day.
But Billy, getting back to him, kind of gave a throwaway explanation. Well, I'll cut class when he, it's how often is he cutting class?
That's what I'm saying, because you live in Queens. It's established you're living in Queens. So he's taking either a bus or a subway to get there every day. You can't just walk from Queens to Manhattan.
Right. But once he gets the apartment, this is where we get our Godzilla cameo.
Yes.
I had that. I had that big inflatable.
Oh, you had the inflatable Godzilla?
I did, yeah.
That's cool.
It got a hole in it, and I tried to patch it. Didn't work, so I had to throw it out, unfortunately.
Godzilla down.
But did you also notice the Gumby recliner that he had?
Yes, I saw that. I don't think I've ever seen that. And I caught this for the first time when she comes over and she's in the bed. He has Thundercat.
Yes, I saw that as well. I'm like, Jeff is gonna lose his mind.
Yeah, and this is where we get another Billy Idol song too, "Hot in the City." But we skipped over the cocktail party, whereas he shows up in that ridiculous tux, and he just thinks, because he's a kid. And of course, it just endears him to the boss, who thinks that this guy is just
eccentric. Eccentric. Let me say that 10 times fast. Eccentric.
Baby corn scene was improvised, by the way.
How do you eat I don't think I've ever eaten baby corn. How do you eat it? Just whole? How do you normally eat it?
Yeah, okay. I usually, if I'm gonna make like a pork fried rice or something, you might want.
Because to tell you the truth, I'd probably eat it the same way that he did.
Yeah.
If I was confronted with baby corn.
And I guess his parents taught him no etiquette whatsoever, because he licks the cream cheese out of the celery and then puts it.
He double dips several times.
Dips. He like triple dips. He's like going to town.
And then, of course, he just spits out the caviar on the floor as well. And I think a 13-year-old would know a little bit better than to just do that.
Listen, I don't know. Listen, have you tried caviar?
I think I'd hold it at least until I got to a garbage can.
It made a good scene. So, but this is where Students is like, you want to get out of here? He's like, okay.
Yeah, but you get that's where they bond during the Hot in the City, when they come out the roof of the sunroof of the limo.
But you're right though, because right, he's 13 years old, and yet he's acting like a 4-year-old when he's in the car, like he's never been in a car. The lock buttons, the light. You've never seen a light before. It was a little excessive, but it didn't matter because he's so damn charming.
And then he gets her on the trampoline.
Yes, and again, after this is when you really start to see her. I mean, literally, her hair. Her hair's coming down. She's softening. This is like the Winter Warlord. He's melting.
She sleeps over, but because he's got bunk beds, it's all very chaste at this point.
She wants to sleep over. Okay, but I get top. She's like, what the hell?
But then the next scene, she's in the car with Paul on the way to work in the morning. I'm like, what is going on here with this woman?
Paul pick her up at his house?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm down the street. So.
And then, you cut back because now Josh is unfortunately phasing Billy out of his life now that he has Susan.
This is the interesting part, which is the more adult he becomes, the less likable he is, which is a lesson for all of us.
Yep.
At some point in our lives, we just lose that childish innocence. And the weight of the world just bears us down. We get caught up in friggin' chores and responsibilities. It sucks.
So one of the last big scenes that he has with Billy before the end is when they have his birthday party at that Italian restaurant. This chef is catching the dough in his mouth. I'm like, I hope he's not going to make the pizza with that dough.
I'll be right back. He's gonna spit it out just like Josh spit out the damn caviar. I thought that was Mr. DeFazio from Happy Days, who plays Penny Marshall's dad.
Okay.
It's not. It wasn't Laverne's dad. But I did like that scene, because you do see that Zoltar is looming around and he growls as they walk by. He's got that growl thing going on.
Yes. Yeah. But I just missed him. Just missed it.
If you had just looked to the right.
Turned around.
Doesn't matter. He was too caught up in the booty of it all.
He's caught up in the booby of it all, not in the booty of it.
Yeah. But again, it's kind of foreshadowed at the beginning when Billy was talking about seeing down the teacher's blouse. You could see her bra, and then
he looks at her. Then he looks at Susan's bra when.
Yes. When he runs into her. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. This is a scene, and it doesn't hold up because we know he's like.
I was surprised because did you watch this on Disney Plus?
No, I watched it on Hulu.
Because it's on Disney Plus.
Okay.
And I could have sworn that I read something where Disney Plus was cleaning up these movies, like taking the F words out and stuff, but it was all there. What I watched. And I'm wondering, because I set up the code to.
Oh, because you were watching it
I was watching it under my code. So it was a little squirmy, I have to admit.
Yeah. So there's 2 F-bombs in this movie. One of them was edited out for the initial release. So it's a PG movie that has an F-bomb, which just shows you that's quintessential 80s. But when it was re-released on DVD a few years ago, they put that F-bomb, that second F-bomb back in there. That is known as the Family Fun DVD edition. I'm like, I know what's going to be family fun. Let's put that F-bomb back in there.
But Josh does start to have a change of heart because as he becomes more and more adult, you see him during this one segment where he goes back to spy on his old friends.
Yeah, they're just living their life as kids.
And again, they're taking their class picture. This stranger is standing right behind the photographer watching the proceedings.
Yeah. Is he just going to have a blank window in that year's yearbook, like missing?
Or, in memoriam.
They name like the gymnasium after him.
Oh, and then he comes back. I'm like, I guess we're going to have to rename this gymnasium.
Yeah. Yeah, but this is where
they're going to think that this poor kid is going to be ostracized. They're going to think he staged his own abduction.
Right. What happens? the cops have to come back in and like, where were you?
That's what Big Two should have been, the fallout. The fallout.
The aftermath. Yeah. But apparently she sleeps with them multiple times because by the end, they're like an old couple sitting at the breakfast table. They're getting ready for this presentation. He come up with this idea, and I don't think this is another idea that I don't think he came up with, which is an electronic comic book,
which is like a choose your own adventure type electronic comic book.
Yeah. But she's like, well, what are we doing here? He goes, what do you mean? What are we doing here? And she's trying to get to the bottom of their relationship. So you've now slept with her multiple times. And she's like, well, do you like me or do you not like me? And he gets all embarrassed and he starts hitting her with the comic book. And I'm like, that's not how you treat comic books.
Then he says to her, I want to go home. And then he attempts to tell her the truth.
I'm a child and I'm not ready for this. And then she loses her mind. She's like, how many times have you heard that? I'm not ready for this.
Because he tries to tell her about Zoltar. And I guess in a deleted scene, she actually finds the original card saying your wish is granted.
That, right.
Yeah.
Not that would have brought it home, but Billy gets the thing in the mail. So then he goes to the office. He's trying to call. And so he has to go there. And that's when he's like, I'm on the phone. You see, I'm busy. And he's like, he goes, I'm 3 months older than you, asshole. And then storms out. He's in the middle of the meeting. This right here is the entire crux of the movie, because like you said, he's already questioning what he's doing. He's gotten a little too comfortable in this adult role. He's got responsibilities. He's shirking his best friend. And when they're presenting the comic book idea, she makes a comment. The kid makes his own decision. And that's when he gets up and walks out. He made his decision. I don't want to do this anymore. And I think at some point in our lives, we all say, we're all like in a board meeting going, I don't want to do this anymore.
I would have loved it if he said, I want to go home right in that board meeting and then left. I think that would have sold it. Yeah.
Yeah. Billy hears him leave in the cab. And then Susan comes out after him and he goes, did you know Josh? You know Josh? Who are you? She goes, I'm his girlfriend. And the face that Billy makes when she says, I'm his girlfriend is priceless, because he's like, ew, you're an old lady.
Thinking what the audience is thinking at this point.
Yeah, well, wait a couple
maybe
years.
Maybe not in 1988, but now, definitely.
No, yeah, correct. But wait a couple of years and you'll be like, damn it, Josh. He's telling secrets when he gets home.
So he goes to Sea Point Park, which, as we said, is Rye Playland.
Yeah, Rye Playland.
Which is right in your backyard.
Right on the boardwalk. Yep. Yeah. All run down still. Empty fountains. It looked pretty dilapidated.
So why they're moving Zoltar there? Or maybe this is where this machine resides and it just goes out on tour every once in a while.
Yeah. I don't know. But when she finds out that he's 13, she just kind of looks up and she's like, oh, well, that explains a lot. I'm like, about his performance in bed, or just everything. And that's when, right. And then she makes a comment about, look me up in 10 years. I'm like, no, that's not how this works. You're going to be 10 years older. No, I don't think so. But I did like the fact that she then, once she kind of realizes what's going on, kisses him on the forehead.
Right.
Does not lock lips with him. Does not, it's okay. Yeah, he goes home. No worse for the wear. Just leaves everybody in the lurch. Those guys are still sitting in the board meeting. Yep.
So he's destroyed 2 sets of lives, his parents and his company.
Yeah. I think his dad left him. He couldn't deal with his mom not processing this. You know what I read, though? That nobody knows the name of the baby. So he lives in a room with his sister, his baby sister, Rachel.
That's got to be an overstatement. Nobody attached to this movie has any idea who that kid is.
It is not known who played Josh's baby sister, Rachel. as the child actress is not credited in the end credits. To this day, the child's actress's identity is unknown.
Sure. To the general public, but somebody, casting agent must know who this kid is.
Somebody, just a magic baby showed up on set one day. Let's use this one. I didn't realize they made a musical version of this. It was on Broadway.
For 6 months, right? That's all.
96. That's all you need.
Opened in 96, closed in 96.
But it was nominated for a Tony Award.
Hey, they can't just keep nominating Phantom of the Opera every year. You got to.
I think that finally closed. I think Phantom of the Opera finally went away.
So let's talk about the difference in seeing this then and seeing this now. Not in terms of the general public, but personally. I was, again, 17 when I saw this in the theater. And I was thinking to myself, idiot, you've got it made.
It's like, why would you leave?
Why would you go back to being a stupid kid? I just got out of that myself and was still in it and hated it. I hated high school. I hated it. I couldn't wait to get out of it. Now you're like, oh, yes, go back to being a kid.
Enjoy every minute.
It's two completely different viewing experiences. And again, it just underscores youth is lost on the young.
Yeah. It is true.
So I commend Josh for wanting to go back.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I was older. I was 20 or 21. Well, if it came out in the summer, I would have been 20. So, but it still holds up. This, I mean, even, we kind of poke fun at some of this inappropriateness that very glaring now. But this movie is it's about as close to a $5 as I'm going to get. This is.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it on my list, but it's up there.
Yeah,
it's up there.
It is. And it's funny that we have not talked this before, but I did read that Deborah Winger, who was originally set to play Susan, was pushing to change the role of Josh to a girl. And I'm like, that would have been very problematic. If that was the case, if now all of a sudden
the same relationship was happening between her and a man, yeah.
But if you change Josh to a girl, then you don't need Susan. So Deborah Winger, you're talking yourself out of a job, because you would have had to have
she would be playing the adult. She'd be Josh for all intents and purposes.
Oh, Trent. Okay. Yeah. If it was Susan. So I don't know. This is also interesting, which I didn't realize. There was an Italian movie that premiered 6 months prior to this called Da Grande.
Sounds a little darker than this movie. If you read the summary of that particular film.
Oh, really?
Yeah. On a 5-bucket scale, popcorn buckets, for anybody that's new listening to this episode, we rate our movies on a 5 popcorn bucket scale. For big, I'm going to go 4 1/4. I would think it's up there for me. Yeah, and it is a classic. It is an unabashed classic.
I agree. I'm going 4.5. Yeah. Very, very entertaining. It's like old friends kind of a thing. You can not watch us for 2 years, come back and
just pick it up. If you're going through the channels, and you see this, you got to stop.
Although I will tell you, all the times I've seen it, I still don't know all the lyrics for Shimmy Shimmy Cocoa Pop. Yeah, immensely entertaining.
All right. So we've got it out of our system now. Big. Yeah, we've done it. We've done it. But what else did we do this week? Not much.
I didn't do much. Did you bring something this week?
I did. I actually checked out a movie that you somewhat recommended not too long ago.
Yes.
All Eyes, was it called, on Amazon?
Oh, I believe that is. Yeah. Yes. And
well, I was in it for like the booby-trapped house alone. I didn't need to have a monster after that sequence.
Right. Yeah.
I was a little bit put out by the fact that the podcaster is extremely annoying, as if like that's a stereotype.
Well, you listen. I just heard something on the radio that women are turned off when dating Tinder profiles, and a man says that he's a podcaster.
And I'm like, whose decision was it to have this guy shirtless for the entire end of the movie?
I don't know. The wardrobe department couldn't.
I could have used a little less of that, yes. But it was surprising. It was usually these movies that you never hear of that you click play on Amazon, you desert after 10 minutes.
Yes, right. And that's the beauty of the streaming, right? It's like, I can't.
Yeah. Pleasant surprise. Yeah.
There you go.
Thanks for bringing that up. So it was all because of you that I hit play on that one.
That's what the sequence is all about, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe bringing something to the fore. Unfortunately, like I said, I have nothing to bring. So,
and I recommend, again, I talked about this already, but they just dropped the final episode of Daisy Jones and the Six.
Yes. Okay.
It was a very enjoyable, easy watch.
Okay.
So
I can now watch all 6 in a row.
I have to admit that a couple of the songs, because this is based on a novel, but if they're going to make it a series, you've got to actually write songs to go along with this band.
I mean, it's a band.
And they are very Fleetwood Mac-esque songs. And a couple of them are just earworms. They're still in my head.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Are they available? Like, is there a soundtrack?
Of course, on Amazon Music, you can get this.
Of course.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
That's viral marketing right there.
Yeah. All right. So if you don't have anything this week, what are we doing next week?
Well, we're going to welcome back our third member. Christina's going to come back, and then you and I are going to sit back and not say a word.
John Wick 4.
John Wick 4.
And this is
2.5 hours.
Yeah, I was going to say this is after us sitting for 2.5 hours in the theater for John Wick 4. So I'm going to have to book some time this week to see this thing.
Factor in the trailers, and you're talking 3+.
Exactly.
Yeah, but we are pairing this up with Christina's choice, Chow Yun-Fat, The Killer.
John Woo's The Killer.
Woo.
We've already done Hard Boiled.
Woo.
We've already done Hard Target. And now we're doing The Killer.
Speaking of gift that keeps on giving, Hard Target.
And now we're doing The Killer.
The Killer. And this is one of his very early.
This is probably the most well-renowned. We'll see.
Okay. I do see there's a lot of ground laying of what his directorial features would include. So
yes, he's definitely got recognizable traits as a director here.
Yeah, well, I think he cornered the market on pigeons. So, but that's next week.
That is next week.
Come back next week, John Wick 4, The Killer, and thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks, and we'll see you then.
All right, sounds good.
Bye. Hey, everybody. If you like what you just heard, be sure to follow TMI Confessionals of the Nerd Kind on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, or whatever you listen to your favorite podcasts on. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and then share it with your fellow movie nerd friends. It means the world to us and helps our listenership grow.
You can also find us on all of the socials, Instagram and Twitter at TMI_podcast 2018. We're on Facebook and YouTube as well. Just look for the Popcorn Bucket.
You can help support this show by visiting our TeePublic page for some TMI branded goodies such as hoodies, t-shirts, mugs, and stickers. TeePublic.com/TMI Confessionals, all one word.
A 5-star review would be incredibly nice as well. I'm just saying.
Thanks again for listening. We truly appreciate you. Be sure to come back next week. We'll save some popcorn for you.
You can't have Krakens and not release them.